Hi Gable, this is my quick tutorial on the ATP forehand, something I've been working on for 4 years. Former college player, but didn't play for a long time, and it was really hard trying to learn this technique, and I'm still working through it, and it's still hard, so you got to just take your time, be patient. So what I like to kind of go through in watching your video is the way the hips move is so important. And a quick exercise I like to do is like hold the racket kind of like this. You want to always have your elbows high because that's the only way to really get any power in the stroke. And you want to have your feet slightly open. This is like a slight semi-open stance. And you want to really like kind of load up your leg, and you want to learn to push with your hips, and as if you're elbowing someone in the face. Boom. As if you're in a battle with someone. And so that hip, I'll move a little further away. The hip, you kind of face forward at contact. So you want to really want to face forward, like the stroke at contact should be here, like right at contact. It shouldn't be an arm movement like this. A lot of people, I see a lot of the kind of beginners, they tend to kind of stick their arms out and they get zero hips involved. And it starts with the feet, then the hips, then working up the chain, and that's how you get a lot of power in the stroke. At least that's what I've found in watching the professionals for thousands of hours in slow motion. But so what I would do with you, because you disconnect really early, is using your left hand is really important in the stroke. And I think a lot of people, they tend to kind of do this loop thing. They see the ball and they kind of go like this, and they try to bounce it off the wall 100 times in a row. I don't really recommend that. I tried that in the beginning. It's way too hard. It's too difficult to try to rally with yourself if you're kind of in the beginning stages. I would use the wall as a perfect returner for you. So you drop the ball, you hit the ball, catch it, work on the technique, do it 100 times, 100 times, 100 times. It takes 1,000 reps to learn something new. It takes 5,000 to unlearn a bad technical flaw. So trust me, I know this. I've been doing this for 4 years. So as far as like getting the motion correct, the elbow should be up and away like this. Some guys are like this, some guys are like this, but you want to have your elbow as if you're going to hit someone in the face, going both directions. So the left hand brings the racket into position. This is the most important thing. The racket comes up from a low position, up high. The elbow is away spaced out. And you don't want to go back too far like this. Some guys are back here. Honestly, it's harder to time. The further the elbow goes back, yes, you get a little more power. But I find it, for me, like at my stage in life, there's no need for it, and it's a little too much rotation on my neck. So the racket comes up. You're in this loaded position. You can drop the ball down and up. So the motion is here. And so you want to catch. You can drop. You can either start the racket here if you're more comfortable. Start here, top with the hips. You want to catch the racket. You really want to elbow someone in the face, right, as if you're fighting someone. Boom. And the racket should be low. You should be able to catch that racket with your left hand when you're done. So the racket comes up into a nice loaded position. The racket goes down to the right, and then as the hips pop, the racket will flip back. So I'll do this. The racket goes up, down, goes into extension. Wrist is not too tight. You don't want a lot of hand tension because that will destroy your speed in the ball. And you really want to kind of push through the ball. But for you, it's learning how to keep the racket on longer and being in this baseball. Just think of tennis as baseball. Tennis is baseball. In both one-handed backhand, baseball. One here, boom. It's the same exact same mechanics of the stroke, the same exact thing. The power comes from the ground, it comes from the push and the hips popping. Watch Nadal, he pops his hips better than anybody. It's sick how good he is. So, just to reiterate, and the racket should come down to the right, and then as your hips pop, the racket will flip back. And then you really want to kind of turn the racket a bit. This is what I'm working on personally. sometimes I tend to kind of extend out too far, like Federer is kind of straight-armed. And sometimes, like, what'll happen is as the racket goes down, you can kind of come too far out, and then you'll like wind up with a high like forehand, like the old school like, forehand, which I used to have in college. We used to hit kind of like this. And so the newer like technique is up, up, down, and accelerate. And then you want to try to catch it in your pocket, if you can. Now, this is going to take a long time, but you can start with the hip hop, which is this motion. Drop the ball, slightly open stance. Rackets here, not too much tension in the wrist. Drop and pop, and then catch. Throw it out to your right. Throw it out to your right. And then catch it with your left. And you do this. And if it becomes really comfortable, then you can maybe start, depending on how your brain works. Some people can start in this loaded position and you just go drop and pop. I call it drop and pop. Drop, pop with the hips. So up, down, boom. It becomes very seamless. It's going to look very mechanical in the beginning. In the beginning when I started 4 years ago, it was very like, and then the arm was straight and the timing was really bad. Because when you time the ball, you're basically taking the racket back almost at when the ball bounces on the ground. That's how the pros do it. That's why you see their backswing is so fast. And it's like a very quick motion. So that's how they get that acceleration. I'm not saying you should be doing that at this stage. What I would work on is consistency and popping the hips, working on your ball spacing. So the left arm, as the arm goes out, this left arm is your ball spacing guide. That's why you see all the pros, none of the pros hit like this. Unless you're like super talented, like John McEnroe or something. So the racket goes up, the arm goes out. This generates your distance, your corrected distance. Here, here. So the motion should go here, here. I like this. I can take a little weight, a 2-pound weight, and I go up and down. It should look like this. Up and down. Up and down. And then when you get really more advanced, which is the stuff I'm trying to work through, is you go here, and then you're basically like, the legs are pushing very hard, and you're going to wind up at the other side. You're going to wind up here, not so much here, but don't over-rotate, don't torque your neck too much, Keep the racket to the right, drop, and then just kind of pop, and make sure that elbow is kind of turning from the humerus over and around, like this. And then you'll be able to catch the racket with your left hand. So just to go through it again. The left hand puts the racket into position. It's a baseball kind of swing. It helps you load. Whoa! Like this. Get down, and then you go back. And as your weight goes forward, the racket is going to be doing the opposite thing. You don't go back and swing. You go back, and the weight comes forward. Here, here. This took me 4 years to learn. I'm giving this to you to enjoy. So here it is. So here, and then your hand is going to come into your, I call it like, touching your heart, or once it starts getting a little more aggressive, you're going to pull in. You don't want the arm going out because you'll over rotate and spin. So here, and the racket will be about either close to flat or 15 degrees at contact. Your contact will be much more out front, assuming you're in a semi-western grip, which your V would be on the bevel. And so here, you can either start here like this too, down and forward. Down, forward. And the foot can come up. So try that, see how that works, and let me know. Later.